I am making shrimp scampi over linguine today. Let me preface this by saying that if you want a clean kitchen and perfectly immaculate recordings, you're gonna have to find yourself a better recorder, because this is what you get from me. Anyway, we start off with chopping up some fresh parsley. We are starting to get everything mise en place, or everything in place. We've got about a cup and a half of it here. I did the whole bunch because honestly, there isn't going to be anything I'm going to use that parsley for after this. Then I grabbed a singular clove of elephant garlic. I like elephant garlic because it's a lot easier to cut and work with because it's so dang big. We cut that up into slices and then we mince it up. I really should have fast forwarded this. I thought this part was fast forwarded. Oh well. Anyway, we slice up the elephant garlic. I need to touch that up. I need to make that go. There it is. There's the fast forward. We slice and dice and then mince the elephant garlic, get it all set aside. My eyes were actually burning a little bit here. Burned almost as if I was cutting an onion, which was kind of cool. Get a can of peas. Now, you can either use peas or capers. I decided to use peas to get a little bit more veg into our diet. We really, truly don't get enough veg. Take that mini strainer over to the sink, strain it out. Now we got our shrimp. It is tail off raw shrimp, leaving me the least amount of prep possible. The only thing I really need to do is run it under some cool water just to soften the outsides a bit. Now that I've gotten it all thrown into the strainer here in just a second, I'm going to waddle over to the sink and start running all of the shrimp under cool water just for like a minute, to soften the outsides enough to be able to score it. While they are straining, I cut myself up some butter into little pads to help it melt faster once I throw it into the pan. Getting that set aside in a tiny little dish. Get myself a measuring cup here and some white wine. Doing about 3/4 of a cup of white wine. Depending on how much sauce, obviously, you're going to want to do more or less. I really like the fruitiness and the brightness of Sauvignon Blanc, so that's what we went with. You can use anything, though, Chardonnay, Pinot, any of that stuff. Gotta have yourself a little taste, too, right? Then, oh, hey, look it's me actually putting that butter in the bowl, like I said a minute ago. Grab some olive oil. We're going to do about 3 tablespoons of the olive oil. Now, the olive oil does 2 things. Gives you flavor as well as stabilizes the butter when you melt it. The 2 fats mixed together will stop the butter from burning as quick. And now that I got the shrimp all strained, I'm getting them back out on the cutting board. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to do something called deveining them. So if you ever look at the inside of a shrimp, you will see a black line on the inside of it. And what that is it's the shrimp's digestive tract. So that's all of the stuff it's eaten. In layman's terms, it's its poop tube. You can eat it. It's safe to eat. It's just not very appealing. So if you just take a paring knife and slice right down the tube, and then take the paring knife and go not slice way, but fat way down that line that you just sliced, it'll catch the whole stomach of the shrimp, and you can just pop it out real easy. And then, as you see, it's real easy to just scrape it off onto something like a board. It's a bit messy, but you do what you gotta do. Now I'm taking a clean dish rag, and I am patting down the shrimp to get it dry. That way it can have a better reaction with the pan once I finally put them in there. Now, I found with shrimp, you don't cook shrimp if you don't have Old Bay. And this is where I messed up. I did not have anywhere near as much Old Bay as I thought I did. So here I am just tossing the can aside. And then I also hit them with a bunch of salt. My plan originally was to do both sides with Old Bay, but I ran out. So we got one side with Old Bay, the other side with just salt. See, on that shrimp, I thought I saw a stomach lining still. So I went and double checked it. It wasn't there. I was hallucinating. Anyway, get this other side pat down. We're going to hit it with some salt as well. I would have hit it with Old Bay, as I already said, but that's just not a possibility when you're out. So crunchy, crunchy salt. And we move on to the next part, which is getting our nice pan out. I like Hexclad. I know a lot of people have a problem with them. but they come with instructions. And if you read the instructions, these pans are fan-freaking-tastic. For those who don't like reading, treat them closer to a cast iron with how you cook with them. And they will treat you very well. Anyway, melt the butter and olive oil together, throw in the minced garlic until it gets fragrant, then add your shrimp. You're only going to simmer your shrimp until it starts to turn pink, and add in about half of your parsley. Once your parsley has started to go into the butter and you can really start smelling it also, you're going to add in your white wine to deglaze the pan. Now, you're probably not going to have a lot of stick on the bottom of the pan, so you're really just going to end up reducing that white wine about half. Once it comes back to a simmer, you're going to want to pull the shrimp out so it doesn't overcook. Mine started to overcook. You can tell by how curled it is. The more curled the shrimp is, the more cooked the shrimp is. It still wasn't bad, much more, and it would have gotten chewy, but we definitely got it out of there. My little helper was able to grab the tongs and pull them all out of there. And it was at this point I realized I fucked up. I did not get the pasta started yet. I should have gotten the pasta started right when I got the sauce started, but I did not do that. So we're pulling the shrimp out, and I switched the pan down to the lowest possible setting to just let it slow simmer while I get the water for the pasta going. As you can see, the flame going there. And the reason I need to do this is because once you get the pasta boiling, we are going to have one of the most important things in Italian cooking, which is the starchy pasta water. The reason this is so important is because this brings together so many sauces between the salt that you add to the water to get it to boil and the starch released from the pasta. It helps bring together sauces with both salting it and with thickening it while adding actual flavored substance. Now, I just added in, well, my daughter just added in the linguini here. Now, a lot of people think you have to add oil or something to get the pasta not to stick. It's super easy to get pasta not to stick. Just stir it for the first minute it's in there. Keep agitating it. The more you agitate it during that first minute, the more of the starch releases, and it doesn't stick to a noodle that's stuck to it. It just releases out into the water. And then your noodles will be perfect every single time. You won't have any stuck noodles. You don't even have to do anything else. I learned that a long time ago watching a show called Good Eats with Alton Brown. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend. That man's a genius, and his early stuff, super campy, but you know what? It's very informative. So there we were, getting that all stirred, getting the toast toasted in there. That's what I was actually showing you there. So here's the pasta water I was referring to. Get yourself about a half cup of it, maybe a cup, depending on, again, how much sauce you want to do, and get it all simmering. Luckily, the pasta water is boiling, so it doesn't re-cool down your sauce. It won't cause it to separate because, you know, you rapidly changed the temperature. Yeah, let that simmer off some. Now, I had to let it simmer for a little too long because, again, I was waiting for the pasta, so some of my parsley started to dull out, which is why you'll see me add some fresh parsley here. Ultimately, the parsley doesn't have much texture on the stuff that's already cooked out, so adding the new stuff doesn't really mess it up at all. The other thing I would say is also I would add some crushed red pepper around this stage, but being that my daughter was going to have this with us, she doesn't do spicy, so I left the crushed red pepper out. Now, once your pasta is cooked to al dente, you know, approximately 5 to 6 minutes will get you to al dente, you're going to add that pasta to the pan with the sauce and toss it. Now, if you can't toss it the way I'm doing it here by just flicking the pan, you can use tongs like you're going to see me doing afterward. One neat trick to learn how to toss like that is get yourself a piece of toast in an empty dry pan and just practice flipping that toast over in the pan. That is how you learn how to do that. Add yourself a few pads of butter and some more fresh parsley to bring it all together, letting that butter melt and coat the pasta and mix in with the melded flavors that you already have from your sauce. Now, I personally would have liked a little bit more sauce at this point because I used the whole pan of, the whole box of linguini. Still came out fantastic. I just like my pasta a little bit more saucy, but that's the thing about pasta dishes. The star is the noodle. Everything else is just dressing for the noodle. Anyway, we got it all tossed in, everything going. Here is the final plating. Twisted pasta on top, We have the shrimp, toast, grated Parmesan, and a little bit more parsley. Now, if you like this recipe, I am going to try to get more stuff posted. Make sure you check here and my YouTube at Eat, Drink, Respawn. Thank you guys so much for watching.